Welcome, everybody, to the Unquestionably Raw podcast. Tonight, we kind of have a collage of topics to throw out at you. We're just kind of looking at some of the hot takes that kind of have been recent in the NBA, along with some news and notes. So we're going to jump right into it. And Lance, I want to go to you first with the first topic. Basically, Portland is jumped all the way up to 8th in defensive efficiency since Al-Farouq Aminu has returned. And do you think they can lock up the A seed in the West, or do you think there's a little bit heavy competition and they may not make it?
Okay, so if you would have told me this maybe like a week and a half ago, I would have said no way. But man, the 8th spot is just so horrible, honestly. That if Dallas still technically has a chance, if they can still technically have a chance to get the 8th seed, then anything's possible, right? Especially with Aminu back. I mean, he's one of the more athletic wing players on their team. And I know Azili's still out. I don't even think he still has a timetable for his return. So if they can get him back and have Aminu, I think defensively they'd be a lot better. And especially with McCollum, how he's been going off, as long as they don't trade him, because there are, some maybe just fun trade rumors out there, but there have been some reporters have at least put out some decent trades out there that I would entertain. But if they keep the core together and everything, I think they're going to probably just end up making the 8th seed. Although a week ago I said they were out of it. But, yeah, I think they might make it, Aminu in, and hopefully they can get Azili back. Because, God, that backup big spot right now just defensively is not looking that good.
Especially when you're throwing out – no offense to Myers Leonard, but he's not stopping anybody.
Nobody's scared of Myers Leonard.
No. But Matt, I want to go to you. I know you got a little kind of shocker surprise, so go for it.
Yeah, well, as much as I don't think Portland's going to get in 8. As much as I want to say it's going to be the team I used to call my Minnesota Timberwolves, I think they're pretty much through. I'm done with them. Mm-hmm. They've disappointed me too much. So I'm hopping on the bandwagon of the New Orleans Pelicans. Will now be my New Orleans Pelicans. They're playing really good right now. I want to say they're 3 games over 500 since Drew Holiday came back. So we know how great Anthony Davis has been. So you get Holiday back. He's been a nice addition to another weapon. Then you've got Buddy Hield's been fantastic for him, shooting almost 50% from 3 since going into the starting lineup. Tyreke Evans, the minutes will start going up. He'll get back into it. So they got a lot of nice pieces on this team. Galloway's playing well. Solomon Hill's doing what he does. And I think the Pelicans are going to get in there. I'm not going to say the Kings either because I think they're going to screw it up like they always do. And when I look at that list of all those teams that could make it, the one thing the Pelicans have is the best player of that group in Anthony Davis. And it's not even close. All those teams. And I think they're only a couple games back in the loss column. I think they're going to do it.
Now, also, didn't they get Mona Eunice as well, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Plus the addition of Demo. That's another one. Yes.
Mm-hmm. They finally get a big man that can actually score on offense, kind of complement Anthony Davis pretty well because Monty Eunice can stretch the floor as basically a stretch 5. He can play the 4, of course. You got Terrence Jones in there to rotate. That means Ashik and Ajinça are sitting on the bench kind of where they should have been at least a year ago. So hopefully the Pelicans can kind of make that leap. Matt, as you said, Buddy Hield has been fantastic in the starting lineup. Really, really kind of the game has slowed down for him. He's able to actually knock down shots, kind of not actually trying to force things now. He's actually getting quality shots and rhythm. So I think that makes a big difference. With the Portland Trailblazers, it's really, really going to come down to what is Allen Crabbe going to give them? What is Evan Turner going to give him? Those kind of guys, Mo Harkless. We know the money was thrown out for all 3 of those guys this year. They've really got to step it up. And we saw Crabbe actually kind of had a great game 2 games ago for them. They lost in double overtime last night to the Detroit Pistons. They've really got to win those games to be able to kind of push themselves into the playoff hunt. But Denver's right there. Sacramento's right there. The Pelicans are right there. It's a strong race for that A spot. So The Pelicans aren't out of it. Denver's not out of it. Sacramento is probably going to be out of it just because I never have faith in Sacramento.
No,
Sorry to any Sacramento fans that are listening.
They're going to screw it up like they always do. They're going to make a dumb trade. They're going to get hoodwinked into a trade.
I'm sorry. I've never had faith in Sacramento since Ron Adive's been there. So sorry.
They're going to do a trade like Luke Babbitt for Rudy Gay or something like that.
I could see it. It's not far-fetched at all.
No.
All right, going into our next topic, Matt, I'm going to go to you first.
All right.
It kind of came out. Golden State has obviously been one of the top-tier teams this season. Of course, you could argue that they've been the best team. You could say the Cavaliers, but, they're 0-5, the Golden State Warriors are, against the Spurs, the Cavs, the Grizzlies, and the Rockets. What is the deal against those teams?
I think with those teams, not so much the Rockets, but with San Antonio, that was the first game of the season, so I think we can. But with the 2 games against the Grizzlies and the game against the Cavs, I think the one common factor was the physicality of the game. And when teams get physical with Golden State, they go play iso ball. That's not their style, and it's not successful for them. They did that in the finals. They did it against OKC in the conference finals last year. And we saw it just doesn't work for them. When they get back to playing Golden State basketball, ball movement, they're fine. And even with the physicality, they can still play the way they want. They just have to shake all that stuff up. They can run some different offensive actions now that you have Durant on the team. And I think they'll figure it out. And the beautiful thing of it was, of those 3 losses, of those 5, 2 were in overtime, and 1 to the Cavs was by 1 point on a tough buzzer beater by Kyrie Irving. So if they're playing really bad and that's all you can beat them by, there's not much to worry about, I don't think. They're going to figure it out. So anybody's panicking, there's no need to panic. And all this stuff, it definitely should be a concern. All these tweets, it's not worth mentioning. They'll be fine.
Exactly.
They'll be fine.
Lance, what's your take?
I think they'll be fine, but I do think they should worry as a team. I'm not saying they're like melting down or anything, but what stood out to me the most, which I don't even think was a negative thing, was when Draymond Green pretty much let Kevin Durant have it, when he tried to do, like we say, do the iso ball.
Yep.
And pretty much what you could see him say was, Randolph is guarding you. You don't need to settle for that shot. You can kind of see it on his lips what he was saying. And even after the game, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's good. That's healthy. Like, he's not like yelling at him, just talking crap. He's actually giving him constructive criticism.
Exactly.
And even after the game, Durant's just like, yeah, I wasn't mad. I agreed. And you could see, like, he's not used to having that. Like, I'm sure Westbrook has never did that to him because the way they look, it was just they took turns iso balling it. But that's just not how the Warriors do it, especially in crunch times like that. I think they should be worried, but they'll be fine, of course. But, come on, man. Like, you got to get at least one of those wins, especially against the Grizzlies. Like,
the thing is, they were pounding the Grizzlies.
And that's fine, but at the end, it just look what happens. I'm sorry that they are too talented of a team to not have one of those upper echelon teams beaten. Like you say, the Spurs, I don't really count that, but at least they're going to be able to play the Spurs again and be able to play the Cavs again. So that's fine.
And here's one of the common factors in I believe all 6 of their losses this year almost. They've been outshot at the 3-point line.
Which is really weird.
Well, then you have to look at, too, like you can look at both sides of things. You can look at, yes, the Warriors, they basically 4 points better than the next best team as far as, average per game point differential. 17 of the Warriors league leading, wins have come by at least 13 points or more. But then you look at the other side. Because they are blowing teams out so bad, you get to the fourth quarter, they've been outscored, by regularly, 15 points when the reserves get in there. Now that's mop-up duty for most of the, most of the team. They're basically one of the league's 6 worst teams with less than 5 minutes left and the scores within 5 points. Now, if you put Durant, you've got Draymond Green, you've got Curry out there, it's going to be a different story. See, everybody that's panicking, well, Draymond Green yelled at Kevin Durant. What is that? He needs to settle down. We don't need this thug on the team. If you watch the reaction to Kevin Durant, he looks down, he says, what? And then he gets in his ear. He's calm as can be. He's like, oh, okay, I got you. he wasn't even pissed off about it. Post game, what are you going to do? Sit there and say, well, Draymond Green shouldn't have said that. All you're doing is creating more turmoil. You reflect on it, know that, Durant probably should have made a little bit different play. He learned from it, and you got to look at, like you just said, Lance, he did not have that in Oklahoma City. He was used to the ISO. I've got to take this and go. He'll get there. We're still in January. We've got a long way till those NBA finals come.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, Durant and Klay Thompson missed 5 free throws in that fourth quarter. That's not going to happen again.
That's big.
Exactly.
It just that doesn't ever happen. When was the last time you saw 2 guys that shoot that good step up consecutively and miss both free throws?
Yeah,
it usually doesn't happen like that. It was just one of those. It was a weird game.
And then when you get down to the playoffs, they're not going to be playing James McAdoo in the playoffs in the fourth quarter. So everybody can kind of stop panicking, relax. Everybody knew that it was going to take a little time for all the kinks to work out. They're still on pace for 69 wins. They're probably going to get 67, 68 wins, somewhere in that range. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so, what's the big deal? It's going to end up being Cleveland and Golden State more than likely, unless some major injury happens, which I don't, wish for. But, just pump the brakes a little bit. It's still early. And Memphis is a good team who they lost to. So is Houston. They've really come on this season. And then you've got to look at San Antonio and Cleveland are always good teams. So, it's not like they've lost to, Portland, Philadelphia, teams like that, Brooklyn twice. Then we could say, okay, what's the deal here? A little bit more than we, are kind of going in right now. But want to jump over to the Eastern Conference and jump into the Toronto Raptors. The rumors were out there. I know they're still kind of persistent. I know Paul Millsap is on the radar. The news came out today. Don't know how true it is, because usually this is what happens with GMs. They pull a guy off the market if they don't get something that they kind of deem as a acceptable trade package. Paul Millsap is the guy the Hawks have been dangling. Toronto wants him in the worst way. Now, Toronto does not want to give up core pieces like Norman Powell off the bench, Terrence Ross, guys like that. They want to throw out lesser tier guys, even a Jakob Poeltl who they can kind of maybe throw out there, DeLon Wright, another one, and something of that nature, a smaller package to be able to get a guy like Paul Millsap. Do you guys, I'm going to go to you first, Lance, do you think that it's time for the Raptors to make a move, because the Celtics are right there on their heels?
I mean, look, honestly, like what you said, that package, that's a disservice to Millsap. I'm sorry. If you really know what he's about, I mean, I'm not saying trade the farm for him, but my goodness, that guy, he can play so many different positions. I mean, he's one of the better gifted big men. Even if I feel weird calling him a big man, because he's so different than just your average big guy. I offer him something better than that. If you really want to make a trade, if I was Atlanta, I would just scoff at that and be like, well, you must not want to do business with me if that's all you can offer. I mean,
right.
I'm sorry. And I want to say yes, because they're still the second best, but what does that mean if you can't beat Cleveland? It's harder to. He's got LeBron. They got LeBron, so it's. I mean, what are you going to do to trump that? But Millsap would definitely be something. And if you want to win now, like you really want to win now, like you're winning. But if you want to actually, I mean, they push him to 6 games. If you want to push him to 7 or really go to the finals, you make that big risk and you take Millsap. I'm sorry. If you're scared, then don't throw down your cards. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know kind of the names. Jared Sullinger's been thrown out there. Poeltl's been thrown out there. DeLon Wright, first round pick, is basically what the Hawks want. But if you look at it from the Raptors side, do you really want to throw away the potential of Poeltl, throw away potential of Ross, and what that first round pick could possibly be for Millsap, and then Millsap move on? But Matt, I want to go to you. What's your thoughts?
I think if you're the Raptors, you got to ask yourself this: if you can trade Poeltl, you can trade Wright, the first round pick, for Millsap. If Atlanta would do it, maybe that would work. But you have to ask yourself, by getting Paul Millsap, does that put us ahead of Cleveland? And if you don't think you're going to beat Cleveland, do you really want to risk the potential of a guy like Podol? Or maybe you could get a sneaky – I mean, we see Brogdon was a second-round pick. Do you want to give up a first-round pick in this deep draft? I think that's the question they have to ask, especially if you know Millsap's going to resign, maybe you do it. But if you don't have that guarantee, I don't know if you risk young potential, really good pieces for you in a couple years just for a rental when all that's going to happen, you get knocked out in the conference finals again. Because I think even with Millsap, I don't see them beating Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay, can I add this real quick?
Yeah, go, Lance.
Okay, so we saw what happened last year with how how they were kind of dragging with their guard play. I mean, Millsap would open up so much for them. And I'm not saying, like I said, don't trade the farm. And I'm not even saying trade a first round from this year because I don't know if that's what was proposed or not. I'm not even saying that, but I would definitely give up a first round for him. I know probably not this year, but maybe like 18 or 19 for him. I don't know. Toronto seems like a really good team that I would want to play for, and I just don't know what he would think about it. I mean, like you say, probably definitely get someone to agree beforehand. Like most of the time when people are free agents and they're big-time names, they usually be like, oh, well, these are the 3 teams I would definitely re-sign with. And then usually one of those 3 are going to go after him. So I don't know. I do think the Raptors are legit, but I mean, how legit are you if you can't beat LeBron? And I'm not saying just because they got Millsap they can beat LeBron, but I mean, I know that's a lot better than not having Millsap.
I mean, and here's the thing: if Millsap were to get traded there, I don't know why he wouldn't want to resign. I mean, you're on a really good team. Where else is he going to be able to sign on a better team? What better team could he actually potentially sign with that has cap space?
And also it's Toronto, and I know this is not necessarily basketball, but it is one of the better areas to live in nowadays. So looking at it from that standpoint, it's not like he's getting traded to Utah again, and maybe he didn't like that area or whatever. So there's things deeper than basketball you can look at.
Well, you'd have to look at, and we kind of with the proposed trade, the full trade, which was thrown out there. I'd have to get Keith to verify. But basically, the Hawks would get Terrence Ross, Jared Sullinger, Jakob Podol, DeLon Wright, the 2017 Raptors first-round pick, and the 2017 Clippers first-round pick. And then the Hawks would give the Raptors Paul Millsap, Thabo Sefolosha, and Mike Muscala. That's a lot to give up.
Too?
And Muscala's a good player.
Yeah.
And Sefolosha's still a decent defender. I mean,
yeah.
If you want to win now, that might be your best look. And I know that the picks but those picks aren't even going to be high this year, right? So I know you're losing them, but it's not like you're getting number 14, number 13.
You're looking at, if you look at the Raptors, though, because you've got Corey Joseph who could potentially end up moving on. So DeLon Wright would be, kind of backup point there.
Well, you got
Ross is there.
And you got Van Fleet, though.
Yeah, you got Van Fleet, but technically he's still kind of in and out of the D-League, probably another year away, maybe 2. Then you look at Norman Powell would basically be your main backup wing because Bruno Caboclo is still raw. He's still probably, as they put, 2 years away from being 2 years away. I don't know.
Away from being 2 years away.
Yeah, I don't know, how great that is. And then you're relying on Lucas Nogueira to kind of be the backup big there. That's kind of a lot of, to be honest, that's a lot of depth to give up if you're going to win now. Yes, Sefolosha gives you a wing, but he's a free agent at the end of the year. Muscala is basically a stretch big, which the Hawks really like. So I find it hard to believe that they'd really want to give up Muscala, but I guess if you're getting 2 first-round picks out of it, I guess you probably would take a chance on it, but I don't know. It's basically going to be at this point with Millsap, throw your best offer out there and, hope the Hawks take it. I think they probably go closer to the deadline now just because they're going to try to see what packages they can get, but they cannot lose him like they did Al Horford for nothing. That's not going to go over well. And you'll have Dwight Howard crying in another year to get out of there. So
if he's not already crying to get out.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's panicked yet. So,
I wouldn't be happy.
About 2 years in.
Keyword being yet.
Hey, y'all know dang well y'all would be upset too if y'all went somewhere thought y'all would be contenders and they rebuild the next year. I would be upset too Let's stop bullying Howard,
but he
man.
can't cry his way off another team. You know, he's in his hometown, so he's just gonna have to suck it up and lead that team to some victories.
Hey, man, he ain't played on as many teams as Shaq yet, so he's okay.
That's true. That's true. That's true. All right, let's jump into kind of have a little bit of a actually have two topics kind of on the All-Star team. First one, I think we can all agree this is a joke with, you know, they changed it up. You know, basically the players get a portion of the vote, the media gets a portion of the vote, and the fans get a portion of the vote. Now you got guys like Tony Allen is throwing Luke Babbitt out there for NBA All-Star.
But you know, here's the thing. It's not. Here's why it's not because I saw how it's going to actually work. So let's just for example, LeBron James wins he finishes first on front court, right? So that'll be 1 and 1, right? Mm-hmm. And then let's say he finishes second in the player vote, so that would be 2. So 1 + 1 is 2, + 2 is 4, and then the other vote he gets 1, so that's 5. Then you divide it by 4, and that's how they're going to do it.
I got you.
You lost me, Matt.
Yeah. So okay, Lance. Me and you. You're the leading vote getter, right? By the fans. Yeah. Okay. The fan vote is 50%. So that's you're finished first. So you'd have 1 point and another point because it's 50%. So let's say the players have you third. So then that'd be 1, 1, 3, and then let's say the media has you 2. So 1 + 1 + 3 + 2 divided by 4. That's how they're going to do it.
Hey, man, but you got Embiid voting for himself because some celebrity or something, he's gotten himself getting his own votes. I don't know about this, man. I know it's no, go ahead, Pete. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the only thing that I don't care if a guy that legitimately deserves it gets in, but if Zaza Pachulia actually
he's not going to get. He won't. He's not because he's not going to get a high. He's not. I don't think the player vote's going to be there, and the media vote's definitely not. So
I hope not.
Is he from the Republic of Georgia? Is that where he's from?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where all the votes are coming
from. That's what happened.
They are going hard for him. You got to respect them. Oh, my God. They are really going hard.
Hey, Lance, didn't they do that last year, too?
Yes,
yeah, with the Mavs, they did.
But yeah, he was second or third in the voting last year. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just, to me, I don't want to see Carmelo Anthony get some sympathy vote. I don't want to see Dwayne Wade get some sympathy vote and take spots away from deserving guys.
Wade,
we'll make a gentleman bet. I can make a gentleman bet. I promise you Melo and Dwayne will be starting.
No, Carmelo's 5th in the voting right now in the front court. Now,
he's going to climb up, I bet.
Wade is second. But we know Kyle Lowry always makes that late push.
I hope. That leads us into the next topic, guys. So you've got a little bit of a conundrum at the guard spot. There's not many shooting guards that are kind of out there that you would say in the Eastern Conference that are all-star eligible, basically outside of DeMar DeRozan, really. Maybe throw Avery Bradley in that discussion if you really wanted to. Now, he's more of a 3. So he's listed as a forward. So for all intents purposes, Antetokounmpo would be in the front court. So you're looking at guys like John Wall, Kyrie Irving, Kyle Lowry, Kemba Walker, and Isaiah Thomas all vying for a spot on the All-Star team. Matt, I'm going to go to you first. Okay. Out of those guys, John Wall, Kyrie Irving, Kyle Lowry, Kemba Walker, and Isaiah Thomas, who gets in?
Well, obviously Kyrie's going to get in. Lowry will make it. I believe Isaiah Thomas is in.
You think those are the guys that'll go? Yeah. What about you, Lance?
Definitely. I think Wall shouldn't go, and I think Kemba needs to be in this year. I'm one of the guys that awards winning. I mean, if you're winning and you're playing great, no one in a losing position should ever get anything over you. I'm sorry.
I want to.
Kemba Walker's team's having a really good year. He's having a career year.
I agree.
Wall's numbers are good,
but DeMarcus.
But I'm not. They're not on the same level as Kemba's team, so I'm going to reward Kemba for that. I hope, and I also think, but I really hope that Wall is not the one they choose over Kemba, because other than that, all the other guards pretty much deserve getting in. I don't care if they have 4 point guards, because like you say, the shooting guard position is not that deep in the East, so that's fine. But if it's not Kemba, then I'm going to be very upset. And I know I say this almost every year, but I might boycott the All-Star game.
All right, Matt, finish up what you were saying.
I was going to say, on a side note, let's hope Porzingis and Parker get in.
I can't put Parker in there just because if you look at I have Porzingis on my list, but Parker is about another year away just because if you look at Drummond, Paul George, basically those two right there would get picked over.
But I think Parker's having a much better – if it were up to me, if I'm a coach, Parker's had a much better year than Drummond. He's been a better player this year.
I don't know. I mean, it's debatable, and then somebody's going to get thrown in there. That's why I brought up Wade and Melo.
Yeah, I think I don't think both of them make it. I think it's going to be Wade though. He's going to get that vote.
If Wade makes it, then that means two guards are out, which means you've got to decide. Pretty much, Kyrie's probably going to make it. Kyle Lowry's going to make it. So then you're looking at Wall, Thomas, and Kemba for one spot.
Oh my God! See, now it's a Royal Rumble. That's too much.
And if I had to say, I mean, I hate to do this because I love Kemba Walker. If it's down to Isaiah Thomas and Kemba Walker, I've got to give the edge to Isaiah Thomas. I really, really hope it doesn't come down to that. I hope maybe I don't know, what do they call it? The wild card vote or whatever it is, where the last two slots can basically be any position. I'm kind of hoping they go with that. And maybe I would be fine with leaving out somebody like a Paul George to throw in, if it came down to Isaiah Thomas and then, going through Isaiah Thomas and Kemba Walker. I'd want them both on before I'd pick Paul George personally. But
yeah, his team's underperformed, really.
So Pete, does Paul George get in?
If you twisted my arm, I'd have to say he probably sneaks in there, but I don't think he deserves to be there.
Give it to Parker instead, right?
I know they're coming around, so I mean,
between those two, I'd give it to Parker.
Lance,
do you think Parker or do you think Paul George? Out of Jabari Parker and Paul George.
Jabari.
Yes.
Okay. The thing about it is, though, then you're getting down to, okay, you put two Milwaukee Bucks in there. You got Antetokounmpo and you got Jabari Parker. Then you're not giving any love to the Hawks with Paul Millsap. You're not giving any love to Andre Drummond. Porzingis probably gets in, I would think, but maybe not. Not sure. So.
You know what? Honestly, I don't even know if Detroit deserves a lot of love. They're not. They're definitely one of the more disappointing teams in the NBA this year. So it wouldn't be a huge crime for them not to have an All-Star. Although you having Drummond, it's kind of hard as a big. But I mean, I could definitely see Giannis getting a starting spot. Like if it was up to coaching, that is. Because he's actually having a great year. I mean, and Parker's. He's having a really great bounce back year. So I definitely would want to reward them. And like I said, I'm with winning teams over, teams that are kind of on the decline. I know the Bucks aren't having the greatest of years, but Detroit's definitely not having a great year, especially when we all thought they were going to have a better season.
Right.
Or at least most of us.
Now, do you want to throw Joel Embiid in that discussion? Because you could argue that based on, even though he's playing obviously limited minutes, you could say that's a plus for him. Does he make it over a guy like Porzingis or Paul George or, Andre Drummond? You can throw all those guys out there. Does he make it over any of those guys?
Embiid's not in my All-Star game.
If it were between Embiid and Drummond, give me Embiid.
Yeah, I was thinking the same if it came down to the Drummond and Embiid, but I can't put Embiid on there just because of where the Sixers are in the standings. I love my hometown team. I'm all for them. I'd love to see the excitement of Embiid in the All-Star game, but if it came down to I had to pick Porzingis or Embiid, I'd have to go with Porzingis based off of record and just kind of what he's able to do on the floor. For the need of his team, you'd probably give it to Embiid, but overall, record-wise, I'd give it to Porzingis. But let's jump into kind of some news and notes just real quick. Former first-round pick out of the 2013 draft, Anthony Bennett has been waived again. Don't really know what the deal is with Anthony Bennett's game. He's waived from the Brooklyn Nets, didn't really get a shot to do anything for Brooklyn. Is just going to ask this real quick, and this is not a long debate. Is he the worst first-round pick of all time? Lance, you go first.
I don't think so. And I know that sounds horrible, but I don't think he was ever supposed to be in the top 5 or top 10 for that matter. I think the GMs just really made a mistake. So I don't think, as a player, I don't think I'm sorry I'm going on, but he should have never been in top 5 or top 10. So I don't really want to put it all on him. I just think that was a really mishandling of a GM's decision.
I agree. Matt, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. He's got to be the worst number 1 pick ever. Lance is right, though, when you with the GMs and who made the decision there. But at the same time, if he would have been the 15th pick, that would have been awful. I think it's just safe to say he can't play in the NBA. He's not a very good NBA player.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have to look at it as you've had how many chances? Cavaliers, Timberwolves, Toronto Raptors, and now the Brooklyn Nets, and you don't do anything at any stop. It's kind of like go overseas, kind of reinvent your game, maybe come back in 2 to 3 years and maybe salvage something of a career.
We got Julian in the chat. He says Greg Oden.
No, but see, Greg Oden was a little different though. Greg Oden had injuries.
Yeah.
So I can't really throw that comparison out. If Greg Oden had been completely healthy forever, he would have been what we're seeing out of Joel Embiid, that excitement of being able to help a franchise. He would have had Brandon Roy right there with him. Potentially, you would have had no need if Brandon Roy was healthy. You wouldn't have seen probably Damian Lillard get picked.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
And the thing with Oden, that little stretch, his second year where he played about 50, 60 games, he looked really, really good. Oden looked like he was going to be a dominant NBA player.
It's absolutely true. With Oden, basically I think he's actually officially retired. I think he's coaching now, but just too many injuries for him. And want to kind of throw out a little news with Philadelphia as well. Chasen Randall, who, basically the Knicks cut at the end of the preseason, kind of narrowed it down to Ron Baker and Chasen Randall. Randall had the facial fracture, has been lighting it up for the Westchester Knicks. The Sixers take a chance on him on a 10-day contract, so hopefully he gets a chance. I actually like Randall's game. I think he can defend and score, which the Sixers need both. It also leads me to kind of a little side topic. We've seen Nerlens Noel finally get playing time. He's done very well in that playing time with Embiid. Okafor has been the odd man out in the rotation. I think the decision is clear, at least on my end. Lance, what do you think as far as Okafor Noel? Do you dump Okafor now?
Okay, so it seems like he's playing more now. And he seems a little happier. I mean, all he wanted to do was play. It's not like he wanted to leave Philly. He hasn't really gotten into trouble in Philly as Okafor has. So I think at this juncture, you just keep sorry, you trade Okafor and you keep Noel. It's just I don't even know what you can get back for Okafor at this point. I'm not even saying he's a bad player. It's hard to gauge with how they've been playing them and not playing them. So I don't know what their value is right now.
Yeah, I mean, with Okafor, I'm a Sixers fan, and we talked about it before the show, but basically with him only being offense, what does he give you that Embiid can't and Noel can't pick up on defense? But, Matt, I want to go to you. What is your take?
I think you got to trade Okafor just because, like we said earlier, when Okafor and Embiid are in the game together and Embiid's usage rate is so high, Okafor is just standing around on offense doing nothing, completely taking away from what he can do. And with a guy like Noel, he's going to defend, catch lobs. I mean, you saw yesterday he had a little 15-foot free throw jump shot, so he can do that. And he doesn't really need the ball on offense, where a guy like Okafor has to have the basketball to be effective. If he doesn't have the ball, he's not doing anything. And he doesn't defend well. He doesn't rebound well. So I think you got to go with Okafor. The question is going to be, how much value does he have?
And not a lot.
I mean, because dominant guys who just are down low guys only, I mean, they're in today's game, they're dinosaurs. It doesn't really work anymore.
Right. And, I mean, I think they waited so long on both moving either guy. You're not going to get the value you probably could have got back during the summer. You probably could have got a low first-round pick, something I don't think anybody gives a first-round pick, for either guy. If you were to go with Noel and basically you're just showcasing his, kind of showcasing him for a trade. Okafor has been the guy for me that I think they should move for basically going in probably into August, back in August, just because I've never been a huge fan of him, and he can't defend at all. He doesn't rebound that great. So basically your offensive moves, they're kind of dead in the water if you don't really develop anything on the other end. And so basically if you're Philadelphia, do you scrap him, and get, a mid-tier, maybe some guy you think might develop later from a team? That's about what you have to expect at this point. And it's sad because Okafor can play. It's just he has to be on the right team. And basically as a backup, I would think, to kind of anchor second units. But want to kind of take a look ahead at a couple games this week. Since we're already talking about Philadelphia, let's go to that game first. Let's talk Philly and New York, just kind of previewing that. I believe it's going to be Wednesday night they're playing. Lance, what do you kind of see happening out of that game?
Well, New York definitely needs to do something. Besides the game against the Bucks the other night, I mean, they're 3-7 their last 10. I know Porzingis missed, I believe, 3 of those games with Achilles soreness, but if they're really like a legit team, like everyone was hollering about a couple weeks ago, I mean, they got to take care of Philly. I know Philly has some players, but New York has the better team. Also, I also think better coaching as well, even though I do respect Brown and all the stuff he's been through. But I think New York definitely has to go in there and win. I'm not saying they got to blow them out, but it would be nice to see a comfortable win, maybe a 10-point win. But they got to do something now. Porzingis has done pretty well, but as a whole, they need to do better.
Matt, I know you're high on your Knicks.
Yeah, I'm not jumping off yet. I mean, they're still right there. It's not like no need. I'm not going to panic just yet, but I think the biggest thing, they just don't guard. They're always giving up 110, 115 points. I mean, even tonight, the Pelicans are getting buckets on them. They just can't defend. I don't know if it's that they don't want to do. I mean, I know you got Carmelo Anthony. Joakim Noah can't guard anybody anymore. Brandon Jennings doesn't play a lick of defense off the bench. It seems almost like the only guys out there who can do anything defensively. I mean, Lance Thomas can do some things, but he can't score. Porzingis is going to defend. Courtney Lee's going to defend, but maybe we're saying he's slightly overrated as a defender, not as good as we thought. And then you'll get some energy and a little defense out of O'Quinn. But other than that, they don't defend. And then the offense gets really ugly when Carmelo starts going into ISO mode. You already know Rhodes is going to be in attack mode, going to the basket, taking shots. Then when Melo gets into it, and it's just a big mess. At least offensively, if Melo can buy into how he needs to play to be successful, you can correct some things there. But defensively, I don't know what they can do. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's kind of weird tonight. Derrick Rose is actually not playing for the New York Knicks. He's not injured. He's just not. He didn't even travel with the team. It's not a trade because obviously we would have already got a Woj bomb. So I wonder what's going on. Brandon Jennings is starting for them. It's going to be an exciting matchup. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Pete, I mean, I just wanted to mention, because I wanted to say earlier, but you actually did a good segue. So Baker did finish out the game versus the Bucks, and I thought it was a big deal. Some people try to tell me it's because Rose was hurt or soreness, but no one ever said anything about an injury report. So I just wanted to mention that to let people know that Rose didn't even finish out the game versus the Bucks. Baker did. They went on to win. I'm not saying obviously Baker's starting, but that's kind of what started this whole confusion. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. You're good. That's a good point. And Ron Baker is a Hornacek guy. I don't think it really kind of throws up the flag, so to speak, of of long term. But if you're looking at, what the Knicks have been successful at, it's when Derrick Rose is actually playing like a point guard, not ISO Rose. And you could argue that the Knicks have looked a little bit better, especially Porzingis, getting him into spots when Brandon Jennings is actually on the floor. And so I don't know what's going on with Derrick Rose, but as far as the Porzingis and Embiid matchup coming up, I'm excited for that. I just hope that Embiid actually plays in this game. I think that, Embiid's going to come out. He's going to score a lot. He's going to really put it on the Knicks. But then I think Porzingis shows out. We saw the other night where he's pulling up 35-footers.
Oh, gosh.
I mean,
after the previous defensive possession, blocking Antetokounmpo twice.
Yeah, it was cool. It was like it was over a 30-second sequence or something where he had two trays and then he had 2 blocks in that sequence or whatever. It was pretty cool to watch. Definitely shows you his potential. The kid's in the gym all the time. So, it's going to be fun. It's going to be basically, upside motor against each other for sure.
We just got to hope it's not on a back-to-back night because that's probably when he will rest, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing that you kind of have to watch for.
But you know what? I think if it's a back-to-back, if they play tomorrow, I bet he'd sit tomorrow. He's going to want to play against the Knicks.
I don't think they have a back-to-back, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not looking at the Sixers schedule right this second, but I don't believe that they're playing back-to-back. I think they only have 3 games this week that they're actually playing. I think they have 2 this weekend. So
hold on, I'll figure it out real quick. I've got the
NBA
they don't.
They just played Brooklyn on Sunday. Their next game is against the Knicks. But then they do have a back-to-back on Friday and Saturday. They play the Hornets and the Wizards. So he will likely play.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So, and I would guess he would sit against the Wizards because you're going against Marcin Gortat rather than sit against the Hornets and Cody Zeller. So we'll have to see there. But our next and final game that we're kind of looking at is the Oklahoma City Thunder against the surging Memphis Grizzlies. Matt, I'm going to go to you first on this one. What do you think?
I think it's going to be an interest. I mean, you got kind of 2 contrasting styles. You got the grit and grind of the Grizzlies, and then you got Russell Westbrook on the Oklahoma City Thunder, just up and down, constant attack mode. And it'll be interesting to see how physical that the Grizzlies will get with them because we see, what it does to the Golden State Warriors, although I think Russell Westbrook really doesn't give a damn about physicality. It's probably just going to piss him off even more. But it'll be interesting how he uses his teammates in that game because he's going to need them against the Grizzlies with the way they defend. I think what they'll do, they're just going to put a wall up like Golden State did. And Westbrook is he's going to end up going like 5 for 30 or something unless he changes it up. And the Grizzlies are just going to do what they do. It's going to pound you, get good looks at the basket, and I think the Grizzlies will take this one.
I'm right there with you. I mean, who is going to stop Marc Gasol? Who's going to be able to stop Zach Randolph? You could argue that Steven Adams is probably going to have a couple highlights here and there, but overall, he's not going to stop them inside.
No.
You've got Mike Conley, is going to be able to kind of do everything that he does, set up the offense, score when he needs to. And he can defend Russell Westbrook if needed.
Yeah.
Not the entire game, so don't get crazy. But that's what Tony Allen's for. You throw Tony Allen out there, and Tony Allen can shut down Russell Westbrook.
And who off the bench on that Oklahoma City bench is going to guard Zach Randolph? He's just absolutely just beasting people.
Exactly. Lance, I'm going to go to you to kind of close it out.
All right, so pretty much let's just set the landscape. Last time Westbrook played the Memphis Grizzlies, I mean, he left pretty early, man. I mean, getting ejected. I mean, he just doesn't like the refs this year. He's throwing balls at their faces, getting ejected. Seems I think he's been ejected more than once this year, but Memphis has gone on to beat the Warriors again, so it's not a fluke. So they're looking really good. Conley just had one of the best games he's had in a while, especially coming off his injuries. Chandler Parsons is seeing the floor more. I mean, I'm still not high on him, but at least he's playing and he's productive. And the Thunder's still good, but I think Memphis is coming in as their own, as what they're used to. I mean, they're still banging it out, but they also having Parsons and Conley able to hit outside shots, and of course Gasol now hitting outside shots. I think it's going to be a real good game. I just hope Westbrook can channel his emotions and just leave that to taking his emotions out on the rim and not out on the refs. I think it's going to be a good game. I hope he can finish it. I think he will. I think the Grizzlies come out on top, though. But I think it's going to be probably the game of the week for me.
Mm-hmm. And you know, another person for the Grizzlies playing well is Troy Daniels, really shooting the three well.
Yeah,
he hit some huge shots against the Warriors on Friday night.
And that's what he was signed for. So he needs to be out there. He struggled to start the year. So good to see him back and kind of, you know, getting in the thick of things. But that's basically going to kind of wrap us up for this episode. But before I kind of go into our spiel of the Unquestionably Raw podcast and all of that, I want to highlight 16 Wins a Ring, which we are part of as a podcast as always. But I want to highlight a couple other podcasts that are out there for all the listeners that love basketball and like different takes. Spencer Davies has a new one called the Scorers Table Podcast. It's very quick and easy, kind of a different spin on what we do. So it was a great debut with Bob Denman, just kind of going over some different topics there. You've got the Left Coast Podcast with Sam Esfandiari, who was on here with us to talk the Golden State Warriors. You know, he'll have his out quite often. Of course, you got Dave DeForest with That Guy's podcast. Great stuff with Austin Hutchinson talking the Kyle Korver trade in the Chicago Bulls. And then the big new acquisition to the 16 Wins a Ring network, a great podcast I love to listen to amongst the others that I just named is the Drive and Dish podcast. They are officially new members of the 16 Wins a Ring network. So I encourage everybody to go download and listen to all of those whenever you're downloading the Unquestionably Raw podcast. And then to wrap it up, I just want to highlight a couple new articles. Keith Smith, our own Keith Smith, wrote a good article about careers not ending well. Good pieces in there about a number of different stars. You've got a mailbag episode that was just thrown out last night by Adam Joseph. Adam Joseph also did a cool CNN Philippines segment, you know, talking Kevin Durant and everything there. So check those out. Go to 16 Wins a Ring, the number 16winsaring.com, or you can go to their Twitter page. It's at 16 Wins a Ring. Check out all the great content. Please support it. And then continue to support us. Go to the YouTube page, subscribe, download, as usual. Leave us a comment or two underneath the video. And then, of course, go to iTunes, continue to download there. Leave us a 5-star written review. We need those written reviews, not just the 5 stars. Please write something. I don't care if it's constructive. Just leave us something that's worthwhile so we know how we're doing. But that's going to wrap us up for this episode. We will be back Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Matt, do you want to tell everybody kind of who our guest is going to be?
Yeah, let me do that real quick. And I hope I don't butcher her name, but we're gonna have Alana Tashower on. I hope I said it right. You know, she'll correct me on it on Wednesday if I've said it wrong. But she does some stuff, writes some stuff with the Bulls and the Heat. So we'll have her on, and then we'll also have Lance back on Wednesday and Keith Smith again.
Absolutely. So that'll be a great one. Everybody. Be sure to check that out, 7 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday night. But until then, we will see you Wednesday.